I'm joined now by Ali Wood, Tearfund's Disaster Risk Management Team lead, and we're talking today, Ali, about the situation in Gaza because the Director General of the World Health Organization has warned that the people of Gaza are facing both a physical and a mental health catastrophe, as he puts it, which could last for generations to come. Firstly, we're aware that there is a ceasefire ongoing in Gaza, but what can you tell us about the scale of the humanitarian problem facing the territory?
Yeah, thank you, Dave, and thank you so much for having me on today. The scale of the humanitarian situation in Gaza is absolutely immense. More than 2 million people, the entire population of Gaza, have been affected by this conflict. We know that over 500,000 people are starving, are facing famine conditions. But let me tell you about one particular person that we heard about from our partners recently. They told us about a young boy, a 16-year-old called Mohammed, who had gone to collect food for his family from a food distribution point, and unfortunately was injured in an attack, which has left him with a lasting brain injury. Now, our partners are supporting Mohammed and his family, but I'm sure we can all imagine that that's not going to be a quick fix. This is something that Mohammed's going to need support with probably for the rest of his life. As you can see, the scale is huge, the needs are huge, and the most important thing at the moment is that we see a free flow of aid, much more so than we've seen coming in so far.
Yeah, we understand as we record this interview that there are 2 crossing points open to aid at the moment. There have, as you've implied there have been calls for all the crossing points to be opened. But even if they could get the round about 600 lorries a day, which the World Health Organization believes are needed, even if they could get those into Gaza, would that be the end of the problem? Would aid distribution after that be easy and free-flowing, do you think?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Dave. And, the reality is it's an extremely complex situation. Things are changing day by day, minute by minute, hour by hour. But what we do know is that our partners are working on the ground to meet the needs, the often very complex long-term needs of people like Mohammed. And so we do know that it's important that the aid and the flow of aid is scaled up rapidly, because every minute that goes by means that people like Mohammed are left without the treatment that they need. And that's going to lead to long-lasting complications.
And of course, there's immense amounts of rebuilding that need to be done as well, aren't there, if this ceasefire does develop into lasting peace, and just the whole infrastructure, the water supply, sanitation. This is going to take a long time, presumably.
Yes, this is not a short-term effort, and at Tearfund we would very much agree with the words of Dr. Tedros in the BBC article that you mentioned, that peace is the best medicine, and that's going to be the starting point for the rebuilding and recovery of Gaza. Our partners have aid waiting at the borders to get in. And so we'd really be asking your listeners just to pray with us for everybody to uphold the terms of this ceasefire, but also that aid is let in at scale and is really allowed to flow in freely, so that our partners can continue to meet the needs of the people that we've been hearing about.
Because, of course, when we talk about a situation like this, oftentimes the humanitarian workers themselves are suffering some of the same situations as the people they're trying to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we have heard very recently from our partner working on the ground in Gaza that many of their staff are without homes themselves, are unable to access enough food, often going hungry, and yet they are tirelessly continuing to serve day in, day out. People like 16-year-old Mohammed and so many others. So we would just really ask your listeners to continue to uphold them, in prayer also for strength and for protection.
Ali, when Christians are involved in humanitarian work in this way, facing these challenges, do you think there is a sense that actually God's Spirit does uphold them in what they're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it very much does. And as Christians, when we look at a situation that can sometimes feel as hopeless as the situation in Gaza and beyond, but I think as Christians, we know that we always have hope and we hold on to that. So absolutely, I believe that our partner staff and so many others are being upheld and strengthened by God. Yes.
And how important do you think it is that Christians and churches around the world do continue to pray and do continue to keep themselves informed about what's going on? Yes, in Gaza, but in so many other places around the world as well. Even once this has, hopefully, if peace does come as a lasting peace, faded away from our headlines.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think it's critical. We believe in the power of prayer. We believe that it makes a difference. And I think that we would just be encouraging your listeners today to continue to pray for the needs in Gaza and across the wider region, for safety and protection for staff of partners, for aid to be able to flow in freely, and for the ceasefire to uphold. Peace is the best medicine. We strongly believe that.
Ali Wood from Tear Fund, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.